When I'm thinking about unit tests, I like to use the word subject for the subject of the test. System under test, SUT, is another way people talk about this. I don't like system under test because though, for unit testing sometimes I may well actually be testing an implementation which uses a collaborating group or set of objects to accomplish a particular purpose, but conceptually it is only one subject. So probably, in fact, almost universally, I would look to have a single instance providing the choreography which I'm going to test. The implementation might not actually work in that way, but I'm testing an interface. So I think of a single subject when I'm doing unit tests. So, conceptually, you might look at that subject and say, well, what does that subject have? What can I do with it? What does it consist of? What is an object? Well, the way I like to think of objects are, it has some state which it maintains. You might say, actually, it's a capacity to maintain state which makes it an object. So the object might not actually maintain state, but it has a capacity to do so. So one type of testing we might choose to do is tests which involve interrogating the state of an object, the subject. So, for this type of test, it consists of some sort of exercisement of the subject, and then you examine at the end the state in which the subject arrives at. And if the state is what's expected, the test passes. If it doesn't, it fails. So, what else do objects have about them? Well, they have functions. I say this quite specifically because I don't mean necessarily methods. These are things where an object is in a particular state, I make a call, and it returns a value. In testing terms, I'm now really interested in what the value is. So that's a second type of test I like to think of. A second type of unit test, if you prefer, is one which looks at the particular return value given by a function we'll call O, when the object is in a particular state. So, a third way is actually looking at behaviour, how the object interacts with its environment. This is a third way which you can examine what the object is doing. So you have an object in a particular state, you exercise it in some fashion by passing various messages to it, and then you check to see what has been the interaction between that object and its environment. So I really like to divide my tests into three different types. I will test either state, or function, which means testing the return value, or behaviour. A very, very, very important rule with unit testing is to be focused and precise and test just one. Never test more than one. You're not making a unit test if you do, and it's a very, very common error. So, think about what test before you write it, and try and divide it in particular into one of those three different types, because it's an almost complete categorization.